I found the solution. This video is brought to you by The Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store, the link is in the description section. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notifications anytime I go live or make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to my channel. Hit that join button so you can join the Tatum Squad. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Also get my book, Beaten Black and Blue, Being a Black Cop in America Under Siege. All of those links are condensed in one link underneath all things Tatum. So click on that link and you will have access to everything that I talk about. Every link, it will be in the description section. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, I had to make this video. I just got off a television show where we were talking about policing. Every day I get on the news, I talk about policing. Let me tell you how I believe I can fix this. Here is how you eliminate police-involved shootings. I mean, completely. I think I found the secret sauce. Eliminating police-involved shootings around the country. Also, for a black man to never get shot by the police officers again. Racism is cured. Everything is cured. One simple philosophy: stop resisting arrest. I don't know how many times we got to say that. I don't know why people aren't getting it. We shouldn't even be having conversations about police. There's no such thing as police reform and any of these things. If you people, black people, white people, I don't care who you are, mostly it's black folks. If you cannot stop resisting arrest, what is the point of police reform? Why are we going to reform the police department just to end up shooting you again because you are resisting arrest, trying to run police officers over with cars? I don't know if do y'all think bullets cannot hurt you? Do you think you got some magic force field around you that you can just start resisting arrest and driving over police officers and they're not supposed to shoot you? And that you're not going to get injured or hurt? Like you live in a fantasy world that somehow if you evade the police and you drive over a few of them and you get loose, that they're going to just let you go. They're going to let you go. The guy Brown, the other day that got killed, they finally released the video. He's running over police officers. Then the one that got unjustifiably shot, that the police officer ended up shooting with a gun instead of a taser, he was trying to drive off. Where do you think you're going to go? They're going to come get you. They're going to drive after you. They're going to arrest you. You don't get to go free. But let me give you another tip. Stop breaking the law. If you weren't selling drugs and on the corner with Ray and them, putting poison in your community, you wouldn't have to worry about the police department. You wouldn't have to worry about law enforcement. There is no black police brutality. If you ain't out here committing crimes every day of the week, I got another one. You want to fix prejudice or racism or bias. Stop being a negative representation of people that look like you. You're walking around with your pants sagging, murdering people on a day-to-day basis, thugging out of control, and you wonder why people look at black people and have to do an evaluation of whether they're a thug or they're a good normal person like myself. It's because y'all fools out here acting up, and you are presenting yourself as a negative representation for black people. How is that true, Brandon? Because what do you know about Asian people? What's the thought process? What's the prejudice? What is the stereotype of Asian people? They're educated. They're smart. Why? Because a whole bunch of them are smart, successful. What is the perception of black folks in America? Let's just keep it 100. Thugging, dumb, all of the above. You can go down the list. Why is that a stereotype that black people are somehow thugging and all of that? Because there's a lot of y'all fools that are still out here living, and you 35, 40 years old and you still sagging your pants. And that's the only representation or at least a great majority of a representation that people are getting before they actually get exposed to somebody who's black. All you rappers and stuff, y'all living in mansions, but you run around with gold chains and gold teeth acting like you still in the hood. You're given a false perception that every black person, whether they have money or not, are all thugging it. And you wonder why people stereotype you. Start presenting yourself as a reliable, reasonable person, and people will treat you as such. If black folks want to stop getting labeled and follow around stores, stop breaking the law. Over half of all violent crimes are committed by black folks. And then that's violent crimes. Imagine petty crimes, petty thefts. Imagine those crimes. How much percent is black folks? If we commit half of violent crimes, then you talk about murders, almost half of murders. I've seen some stats that said over half of the murders, and I seen some that was slightly under half. It doesn't matter. 13% of the population shouldn't be nowhere near half of the murders in this country. And you know who they murder? Other black people. And you know who's talking about it? None of y'all fake woke, conscious conservatives, or any one of y'all that want to say liberals, black liberals, white liberals. None of y'all talking about that. You want to change the boogeyman. There is no boogeyman. Systemic racism, all this stuff is the boogeyman that do not exist. You guys are making up stuff that you can never fix. Point at the racist and we'll go after that person. But y'all pointing at some fantasy world. You'll never fix something that you claim is systemic because where's the head of the snake? Yo, you could just keep moving the goalposts. Every time you think about it, every time you come to a crossroads, every time you see successful black people and you have no excuse to believe that black folks do not have a level of success, no matter where they came from, when you run out of your excuses, you go back to the systemic boogeyman. Policing in America is not systemically racist. You have to be the dumbest person on planet Earth to even suggest that a profession like the police department is systemically racist. When you have a majority, not a majority, but there's a lot of different people from different demographics and different races who patrol and police in this country. And places where they're majority white, there are majority white communities. Places like Atlanta and Baltimore, and you got places in Philly, you have the police department is almost 50-50. But y'all don't want to talk about that. You don't want to talk about that. You want to be a victim. You want to play the victim game. And I'm gonna add this because I was talking to some guys today because they're teaching this concept of racism into schools and pushing it to our children. It's called critical race theory. They're telling you because you're white, somehow you have a privilege. You live in America. You being white ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You don't get a free A on your test score just because you white. There's no white scaling test scores. You don't get $5 an hour more because you white if you show up to work at McDonald's. You get minimum wage just like everybody else do. You don't somehow wake up because your skin is white that somehow you don't have the woes of this world, that somehow you can smoke crack and crack won't affect you because you white. Or you can somehow have children out of wedlock and somehow child support does not affect you because you're white. Or somehow being a single mom, somehow your bills are just paid because you're white. And that you don't need no baby daddy because you're white. Somebody show me where unequivocally that you're white and somehow you're just automatically going to do better than anybody with no effort in place. Oh, because of somebody's parents. Well, that tells you that black folks need to step up, or whoever else calls themselves to be a minority or some disadvantage. You need to step your game up. How are you mad at white people because instead of going to the club and thugging, they were getting an education and paving it forward for their children to be successful down the road, and y'all buying Gucci and Fendi, and ain't got no bank account, ain't got no savings, ain't got nothing, but you got Gucci. And you mad at the white man because they didn't buy Gucci. They put, they put stock. They buying stocks. They buying real estate, and they passing it to their children. While y'all out here stunting, going bankrupt. NFL football players. Last time when I was thinking about playing NFL, the statistic was about 80% of NFL football players go bankrupt. What does that got to do with the white man? You got millions of dollars that are handed to you for playing a sport, and you still go bankrupt. That has nothing to do with white folks. That has nothing to do with a white privilege card. You have the same amount of access to a accountant, to a investor, to investors. You have all the same access as anybody else with money. But 80% of NFL players, majority of them are black, go bankrupt. Why, Brandon? Because you refuse to take responsibility for your own action in your life. And I'm gonna end it with this. The only person that's responsible for your life outside of God is you. It's not the white man. It's not the system. It's none of that stuff. If you want to be successful, then there's key things that you can do that will help you in your success. Take your rear end to school. Get an education. It's not cool to be skipping class and be the dummy. It's cool to be a person that makes straight A's. Get good grades. Don't be sleeping around, freaking around, and then you end up having kids and you don't have a job. Remember, your access to adult behaviors is a privilege. It's not a right. It's a privilege. And if you poor You don't have you don't have the privilege to be sleeping around and smashing and doing whatever y'all doing. If you broke and you poor and you living in the projects, you should be celibate. You should be the biggest Christian there is. You should have no problem not sleeping around and doing these things because you poor and you broke and you can't afford children. So you wait until you're successful enough to then go out and procreate. You don't have the right. And if you do procreate and you broke and you poor, don't blame nobody but yourself. Don't ask the government don't ask Jeff Bezos to pay more taxes because you want to have children and you have not set your life up to be that'll be conducive for you to have children. Quit making excuses. There's a lot of people that are successful that say, I'm going to wait until I'm 30, 40 years old, or whatever the case may be, until I'm well established, until I can take care of kids before I have children. Those are responsible people. And people don't want to take responsibility for your action. Don't be D-boy on the corner selling dope all week long and then act shocked when they come out with a search warrant. You don't have to sell drugs, poison in your own community. Go get you a job. Go get you a job. This applies to any race. But specifically, I'm talking to the ones that's complaining the most. Go get you a job. Work 2 jobs. Work 1 job till you work your way up. Add value. Quit running around like somebody owe you something. This country don't owe you nothing. Everybody lives and everybody's going to die. Those are 2 guaranteed. There's a birth and a death. That if you're alive today, that's your experience. You're going to be born and you're going to die. You don't get 5 extra years because you white. Your decision making. You the one eating Takis and hot Cheetos every day, and you wonder why you fat, and then you wonder why you die at an early age. Talking about medical stuff in it. No, it's because just because you poor don't mean you have to eat poorly. Just because you poor don't mean you can't clean up your dirty floor and vacuum the floor. You can sweep the floor. Get you a towel and just rinse the floor. Take your shoes off at the front door. Just because you poor don't mean you have to live in squalor. Just because you poor don't mean you have to be negligent in having children out of wedlock and you can't take care of them. That has nothing to do with your status in life. It has everything to do with your character. And if you want to be successful and you want to make some of yourself in life, look in the mirror. Don't look at critical race theory trying to find answers for your failure. Look in the doggone mirror and say, what have I done today to be successful? 24 hours in a day afforded to every person. You don't get 27 hours because you're white. You get 24 hours in one day. You don't somehow have a better brain because you white. You got the same, relatively same functioning brain in general as other people, unless you're a genius. And geniuses come in all colors, forms, and fashions. You got a relatively functional brain, just like majority of the people in this country. Then why you failing in class is your fault. Why your mom and them ain't coming up to the school and they complaining about the education, that's their fault. And when you turn 18, you're a grown up. It's your fault. I keep seeing everybody making excuses. These situations you put yourself in, you're making excuses. Stop making excuses. Make it happen. That's the end of the story. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps is the realest statement I've ever heard in my life. It's the realest statement. You can pull yourself up to success from where you're at. And then when people do it, you call them a sellout and a white lover, hate your own race and all this other stuff. Pull yourself up. What does that mean? Does that mean you're going to be a billionaire? No, it doesn't. No, nobody promised that you'll be a billionaire. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps is very simple. It means being the best version of yourself, improving on your own abilities. And over time, you'll reap what you sow. If a billionaire is in your future, then go for it. There's a bunch of black billionaires, and black people don't make up that much of the population. I'm done. I can rant all day about this, but I'm incredibly sick of the excuses that are consistently made about fixing everybody else but yourself. You want the whole world to change, and you don't want to change nothing about yourself. You want the whole police department around the country to be retrained, fired, and rehired, but you don't want to not resist arrest. Free. That's free. No, you don't need no tax money. You don't need no pamphlets. You don't need none of that. Just stop resisting arrest, and you will never get shot by a police officer. And I could almost take that to the bank. And if you do, that's about, I mean, it's more likely you get shot by lightning than for you to be wrongfully shot by a police officer and you weren't doing, and you didn't do nothing. It's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. Quit trying to change the world and change what you're doing. Quit trying to change other people. It's impossible. Change what you're doing, and you will be successful. I'm gonna get up out of here. 15 minutes of me ranting. This should have 40 million views. It should, but it won't. However, you need to listen to it and share it. Like and subscribe to the channel. Visit the Untitled Store. Y'all know the drill. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.